I will see you in the next video. Hello friends, in this video we're going to look at kind of basic navigation of Photoshop. Okay, we learned a little bit in the last videos with layers, but now we're going to start moving things around and resizing them. Okay, so we're going to combine 1, 2, 3 images and put them all together on this one in these nice little cubes. Okay, so a few little shortcuts, promise not too many, but just the things that get used quite a lot. It's best to use the teeny tiny shortcuts. I promise not to overwhelm you much. All right, let's get started now. All right, so to learn our kind of workflow features, we need to open up all of those images that we want to combine. So we're going to go to File, and we're going to go to Open. And we're going to be using these from Jessica Nolden. Okay, thank you very much, Jessica. And it's the O3. Okay, there's an A, B, C, and D. Now you can click one and just click Open and open them all individually if you find that more useful. A little trick though is select the first one, hold Shift, click the last one, okay, and they should all be selected, and click Open. Now, what's happening is you can see along the top here, I've got these tabs. So all the images are open in tabs. If for some reason yours doesn't, okay, that's the default. But if it doesn't, go to Window, Arrange, and just click Consolidate on all tabs. Now there's probably about 3 or 4 ways of combining images. Now I'm just going to show you the one that's the most bulletproof and reasonably easy. So we want to, this first image here, this is where we want to get those little squares. So this first one here, the way to kind of drag it to this tab here is literally kind of dragging it. So we're going to grab the Move tool, which is the first one in our little toolbar here. And you click and hold with your left mouse arrow, okay, click and hold the center of this image and drag it to this other tab. It's a bit weird. Okay, so click, hold, drag. The mouse is down the whole time, and I just hover above this tab and Photoshop automatically switches to this one. I've still got the mouse down the whole time, and then I move my mouse key down here and let go. Okay, so the big thing for that, it does feel a bit weird. Okay, I'm going to drag it into place. Now, you have the mouse down the whole time. Okay, if that went horribly wrong or didn't work at all, okay, I'm going to go to Edit and I'm going to go to Step Backwards. That just kind of undoes. I'm going to keep going step backwards until it's gone. Okay, and I'm going to practice again with you guys. So back to this tab, Move tool, click, hold, drag in the center. I'm just holding down my mouse key, holding it down, holding it down, holding it down. Okay, you do get used to it after a while. It's a strange one. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll do the same for this O3C. Okay, so click, hold, drag the center of it, and then move it in here. Okay, I'm going to try and line them up nicely. Okay, you'll notice that Photoshop's pretty clever and tries to kind of automatically align things. Okay, if yours doesn't align, go to View and come down and just make sure Show and the Smart Guides is on. It's probably on by default, but I'm just in case it's not. Okay, so View, Show, Smart Guides. Great, so that works for all images, and it's going to be quite protective when we look at things later on called layer masks and adjustment layers. That dragging option is the best way to do it, in my opinion. Okay, the last one is going to throw us a little bit. This one has a different size, so the same technique works, right? So I click, hold, drag it to my first tab, let go, but it's ginormous. Okay, so this is going to happen to you, where sometimes the images can be really, really big, like it can go 2 kilometers that way, okay? So you need to kind of get them down to a proportionate size. So this is going to be our kind of next bit of navigation. Now, we're going to be learning zooming in and out first. Okay, so for this to work, I need to zoom out a little bit. So there is a magnifying glass over here, okay, which you can click once to zoom in, and over here you can click it to minus, and now this thing, when you click once, will zoom out. So you just toggle between these two here. Now, you can definitely do it that way, but what you'll find is that it's such a common thing you do in Photoshop. Everybody learns the shortcut quite early. Now, if you hold down the Command key on a Mac, or the Control key on a PC, and just tap the plus button on your keyboard. Okay, just up on the top of your keyboard there. Plus to zoom in, minus to zoom out. Okay, we're not going to go through too many shortcuts here, but there's just a couple that you really need to know early on. What I'd like you to do is zoom out to kind of this level, doesn't really matter, just so you can see the edges, because what we'd like to do is shrink this guy down. Okay, so I've got that layer selected. I'm going to go to Image, nope, I'm going to go to Edit, I'm going to go to Transform, and we're going to use Scale. So Scale is one you use quite often. We're going to cover all of these in a later tutorial, but for kind of fundamental navigation, you're going to need to move things and scale it. Okay, so we'll just cover this quickly now. So edit, transform, scale. You'll see that's why we zoomed out so we can see the edges of these boxes. Okay, so what you can do is if you grab the edge, you drag it around, you can rescale it down. The only trouble doing it this way is that you can see it kind of distorts the image. So I'm going to go to edit, undo. And what I want to do is I'm going to hold down a shortcut. Okay, so I'm going to hold down the shift key. We won't do too many shortcuts, I promise. Okay, but hold down the shift key and grab any of the corners before you start dragging. Okay, and that just means it will scale the height and width, kind of a fundamental Photoshop thing. Okay, so once you get it to a size you kind of like, okay, sometimes if you're new, you're sitting here like me, looking at your hands and going, do I let go of the shift first or the mouse key first? Okay, it's always the mouse. Okay, anytime you're thinking that, it's always the mouse. Let go of the mouse first. Okay, and then you can let go of the shift key. And I'm going to drag mine in kind of close, and you see it kind of lined up nicely. And what I might do now is just drag it so it's the perfect width to match these other guys. Now, zooming in a little bit, who remembers the shortcut? You all do, okay? So on a Mac, it's Command+. If you're on a PC, it's Control+. Okay, zoom into a nice kind of size. And this brings us on to our next kind of fundamental navigation feature that we need to learn in Photoshop. Okay, and it's just moving around this canvas. So you can see I can't see the bottom here. Now the long painful way is grab any of these sliders and drag it down. And that is fine when you're really new. Okay, and I threw a lot of shortcuts into this tutorial, just one more. Okay, hold down the spacebar key. See my little arrow here? The spacebar key transforms into the little hand. Okay, so spacebar key and just kind of click, hold, and drag your mouse. So spacebar down, click, hold, drag around. Okay, or use these little slidey handles. They are totally fine. All right, and what I'd like to do is just resize it a little bit more so it matches these sizes. So what's the key I hold down to make sure the height and width is the same? You remember, it's the shift key. So holding shift, drag it up and just get it kind of close. We're not looking for perfection right at this moment. We'll cover a little bit more later on. Okay, get it close. Now, when you're finished, you need to kind of say, Photoshop, I am done. To get rid of these like little marks around the outside, because you'll find that some of you see my menus just don't work now. Okay, because it's saying, I'm halfway through this thing, please. Dan, finish it off by hitting return on your keyboard or the enter key. Okay, and that just kind of gets it to where I need. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, which is, you remember, Command minus or Control minus. Okay, and what I'm going to do is with my move tool, okay, and now depending on if you've turned yours on or off, make sure auto selects on. Okay, and I can click and drag this one up here. I'm going to drag this one here and this one here. Ah, beautiful. All right, my friends, that is going to be it. So just to recap, to move things from one image to another, or at least one tab from another, use your move tool. Click, hold, drag it up to the tab, hold the mouse key down the whole time and let go of it. Now, if you end up with problems with it being the wrong size, you go to edit, go to transform and use scale. And if you want to lock the height and the width together, what do? That's right, shift key, hold that down. Okay, and the other two things we learned were some shortcuts. Okay, zooming in, which is Command plus or minus on a Mac, or Control plus or minus on a PC. And once you're in really close, okay, you can drag around with these guys or hold down the spacebar key to move around. Click, hold, and drag your mouse. All right, friends, let's get on to the next video where we start looking at something called levels, probably the thing I use the most in Adobe Photoshop. All right, let's